Welcome to another edition of Stew and the Crew.
That's right.
I'm your host, Jonathan Stewart. Alongside me is my co-host, Jeremy Kelley.
Appreciate you.
Man,
Good to be here.
yeah, it's good to be here
We're
back in
back.
the States, right?
Stateside.
The stateside.
Although Germany, the hospitality, the experience, even the food. There was a lot of speculation about the food before we went there, but everything
was
first
top
class.
notch.
First
Top
class.
notch. They treated
First
us like
class.
we were, real special guest. Definitely. One of the things that I really took notice is the ability for people in other countries to understand other languages. Like, everyone speaks English. Everyone understands English.
Well, I would say also multiple languages.
Yeah, but they were like, oh, English? You American? All right, I speak your language.
Yeah.
Whereas if they came to America, I'd be like, huh, you speak German?
We gotta do
I
better.
can't help you.
We gotta do better.
We got to do better.
Right.
That's exactly how I felt. Like I needed to be better, and I wasn't.
It's
Underperformed.
It's a reminder how big the world is. Obviously, being in Europe, surrounded so many countries, so closely tied. Italy, Switzerland's not far. All Austria, all these things, man. And we are kind of in our own little cocoon over in this side of the world, man. So,
Was that your first time in Europe?
That was, I guess, because I've traveled to Israel. I spent 10 days in Israel, so that's obviously the Middle East. So, yes, that was my first time to Europe, for sure. Yeah.
Well,
So
that was my
won't be
first-
the last.
Yeah, that was my first time, and it won't be my last either.
Yeah.
Definitely got outside of my box. What are some things that you've experienced
Well,
as far as?
Considering I almost didn't make it out due to my
Do we want to talk about your phone?
I mean, we can get into it, but I think fans probably want to hear a little bit more. I mean, we got other things to talk about. We had 6 of our most prized legends join us over there, which was incredible. You guys continue to show up for the club, and it's amazing. Julius Peppers, Jonathan Stewart, Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis, John Beeson, right?
Steve Smith,
Agent 89,
Yeah.
who was the life of the party
Yeah.
from start to finish.
Yeah, man.
I don't think anybody had more fun than Steve Smith.
I had a lot of fun.
He was everywhere. I mean, you all were everywhere. You guys really were, but
Yeah.
Smitty was in a place of joy the entire time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, watching the clips of him riding the bicycle or the tricycle. Is that what you call it? A tricycle?
I think there's actually a name for it. Like, it starts with an R. It's a street bike, essentially.
A ride?
It's a way to get around. A ratch. I'm gonna find out the name.
A ratchet ride.
Matter of fact, can I go on my phone while we on here? Because I
Yeah.
think I can recall if the text message even still exists. To be honest,
We're
Thanks
just
to
going to go
Jonathan
with
Stewart.
a ratchet ride for right now.
Okay, all right. Or it was, yep, it's not even on here. So, regardless, Smitty was riding around Munich on a street bike, and he was driving Luke and Anish in the back,
Yeah.
and he had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
So,
I love the opportunity to go there as ambassadors of the club, but also ambassadors of the NFL. Being in Europe, my first time. I feel like a lot of people's first time in Germany. The experiences, the culture there, the fans. One of the things that surprised me the most was the amount of football jerseys that I saw at the football game and leading up to the game. I mean, everywhere we went, it was like, oh, the NFL's in town.
that's right.
So let me take pride in the thing that's in my closet that I don't get to wear for
right.
certain occasions, and I'm going to be able to showcase that now since the Carolina Panthers and the New York football Giants are in town.
Yeah.
The amount of football jerseys that I saw was amazing. I even got to roll up on somebody that was wearing my jersey in Germany.
Which was, can you imagine?
Yeah.
Like that person was. I mean, I know the video went viral. It was a great hit. So shout
Yeah.
out to you for having that awareness and seeing it. But can you imagine being a fan? I know it's hard. Like being a player is tough to really embrace fandom to that degree, right? But,
Yeah.
that person's probably still telling that story right
Yeah.
now, right? So hopefully they're listening. But you bring up a great point. If we can paint the picture of what that was like in Munich when you're talking about an NFL international game, I think from start to finish, from when we touched down on Wednesday morning to when we left on Monday morning, very Super Bowl feel-like.
Oh, yeah.
Felt like Super Bowl week. And when you arrive in a different country, you're getting you stick out when we're not average size humans,
Yeah.
You got gear on, what have you. People know why you're there. But to your point, the colors, the jerseys, the engagements, the energy. The second you walk into a room, we had the great pleasure. We got to give a massive thank you and shout out to Bayern Munich Football Club, who rolled out the red carpet for our legends, custom jerseys, accommodations, got to witness a game versus Benfica, a Champions League game, tour the Hall of Fame with their legends.
Yeah.
Claudio Pizarro.
Audio was off the chain.
Harry Kane, got to meet some of the guys. And so really an incredible call. You want to talk about a dynasty.
Yeah.
The amount of trophies in that Hall of Fame.
It was inspirational, bro. I'm like thinking to myself, we ain't did nothing.
Right.
Like as far as like a club, like
that's 75 years of history, I believe it was. But the amount of championships.
The amount of championships within that time frame is something out of this world.
Yes.
And just what soccer means to that country. You talk about everything that country has gone through, the turmoil, the ups and downs. We all know the history. And to have soccer be that one thing that brought them together, that gave them hope.
That's right.
I mean, it's bigger. We say it all the time. It's bigger than football. And in this case, soccer is bigger than soccer for them.
Yeah.
Like they go out there and play the game for the culture, for the country, for Germany. Yeah. They wear it on their sleeves. Like I almost think to myself, like they treat their soccer program like it's the Olympics every single time. You're out there representing like a large group of people. Yeah. And that's how they play soccer out there. That's how they do a lot of things. I mean, we had an opportunity of doing the youth flag football, where we were able to
the clinic at Bayern Munich Academy.
Yep, at the academy, and being able to share something that I love and that I admire with some of the youth in Germany, and to hear some of the kids say, "I played football because of you," right?
That was the first time for some children to witness that was special.
Yeah.
Right. The first time that some of those kids touched a football
ever. Yeah.
And so, they probably don't even realize the gravity or the opportunity of having. Maybe they do. Hopefully they do. There were some older kids
I feel like they did.
Yeah, there were some older kids there of having guys like yourself and Thomas Davis and even the current team that came out to surprise them afterwards. You realize, to your point, it is bigger than football, even though we're playing football and teaching football. When you have the ability to impact a child's life and share the game that we've dedicated our lives to and represent your country, you had that opportunity over there to represent the club, but as Americans, it's a different feel.
Yeah.
It was a different feel. When we walked into the Champions League game through the common, the suite area, what have you, and everything stopped.
Yeah.
This is the first night we're there.
Yeah, and everybody looking at us.
So we realize, and phones are coming out, you realize, hold on a second.
Yeah. Okay,
this is a big deal for these folks who are soccer fans, but they recognize what's happening or who's here. So it was just a reminder that we get to do this, man.
Yeah. And that the game is growing in a special way. In a special way.
Very
and to
much
be a part of that is huge. But again, taking pride in being in another country, being an American, and understanding like the blessings that we have here that a lot of us take for granted. You definitely felt that being away, but you also felt the sense of pride that they carry as a country. And it just basically opened up my mind. I already knew, I always live with this mindset of I'm just a piece of sand when it comes to the existence of mankind and the world and just everything on God's timeline. Like, I'm just one speck of sand. But when I was over there, I was like, oh, I'm smaller than a piece of sand because like my flight there, I'm sitting next to a gentleman that was from Germany. No, he lived in Germany, but he's Italian, and he's an engineer. And I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm going there for NFL football game. He's like, NFL, what's that? I'm like, oh, you don't know the NFL, but he didn't know it. I genuinely didn't know. He's like, oh, the football game. And it was able to, share, my thoughts and my wisdom and experience with, football to a guy that's never really gave 2 cents about whether or not NFL exists in America.
Right.
But hopefully he tuned into the game and maybe I made a fan out of him.
And I think there's probably a lot of people in the first or in that arena, Allianz Arena. I realized I was saying it wrong a lot of times, saying Allianz, but it was Allianz Arena. That got to witness football for the first time. And the Panthers win at that. So we're glad we came home with a W. But as we recap this trip, right, and you mentioned, one of the things that we'll get into as the game is growing, which is amazing to be a part of, the NFL is continuing to expand into different markets. We saw Brazil this year. They teased Ghana as Super Bowl. We had a good chance to talk with Roger Goodell, Commissioner Goodell, and talked about Berlin. It was shared that the league has eyes set on an international game weekly, right? So what comes with that, right? And so pretty amazing to see. Yeah. Pretty amazing to see, man, that this game is growing globally and being more widely accepted and that there's countries interested in hosting, man. So amazing opportunity for the players.
Yeah. And especially for the players. That's one of the things I realized is we live in a day and an age where we're talking about, obviously what you do on the football field is your resume. And that's the main thing that you got to keep the main thing. Mm-hmm. If you don't perform well, you don't get compensated, right? You don't get to go to the playoffs. You don't get a chance to be in a Super Bowl if you don't play well and then play well as a team. But on a personal and individual level, this is a great opportunity for these guys to go and expand their brand, spread the awareness of who those guys are individual. I look at a guy like Chuba Hubbard. Mm-hmm. What an opportunity for him. He just gets paid, and basically, the best football player on the offensive side of the ball. Mm-hmm. And you pay him during a time where he's about to go to Germany. And so if you are, someone from, from Europe, and you're trying to gain an understanding of who to root for and who are the top players, right. You're gonna see, that guy just got paid $30-something million for 4 years. That's the guy that I'm gonna cheer for. That's the guy's jersey that I'm gonna have to go buy, right. And that's the guy that I'm about to go follow on Instagram. Right? So these are cool opportunities for these players to be able to go overseas to basically expand their brands and capitalize, because football is only for a certain amount of time. You're not guaranteed the next day. You're not guaranteed the next game. You're not guaranteed the next year. So you got to take advantage of everything that's there for you. But obviously, you don't overdo it, because you have to make sure you keep the balance of
keep the main thing the main thing.
Exactly.
That's right. But that's free game though for all the young cats.
Yeah, man, go out there. Hey, don't cry and complain about going to Europe.
Speaking of experiences, I think we need to talk about you got to do some things too and expand your brand. I think you might have become a pro in tapping the keg. Oh yeah. Unless I don't know what you did at the University of Oregon. Maybe you're familiar with it. Yeah. But they had an experience with that big old wooden hammer. Yeah. Jonathan had a lot of opportunities to appear at corporate events, partner events, and et cetera, one of which I thought was very cool at the Augustiner, which was our team pub. Yeah. And amazing sight to see you all behind the bar with Dave and Nicole, Tepper, and, I mean, the energy that was in that place when you all walked in, and the Stein holding contest. But with that, we'll share some photos. I know Matt's behind the scenes. He's going to get that up for us. Of the Stein competition, the tapping of the keg, which is a tradition, right? Yeah. And so tell us a little bit about
Yeah, so basically, it was like, hey, man, you want to tap the keg? I said, do I want to tap what? And like, do I want some beer? Yeah, I'll take some beer. No, do you want to tap the keg? And basically, it's a
it's like a spout.
It's
Putting a
spout, and you put the spout in the keg, and you know they have a little mallet, I guess you would call it.
Yeah, it's a mallet. I guess that's safe to say.
A big old mallet, a wooden mallet, and I felt like I was really a part of the culture, and I was basically setting the tone for the night.
That's right.
And I love to be a tone setter. You know, being a running back, that's what we like to do, man. Give me the ball to first place so I can set the tone. And so they messed around and gave me the mallet and gave me the spigot.
They did do that.
And then I went on ahead and just, you know,
There
gave it a nice
right
little
there.
love tap.
There it is. Right
I didn't have to
there.
kill it. Yeah, there you go, right there.
We'll get this video up for the good folks. But
Yeah.
amazing experience to embrace the culture.
Yeah,
Right.
and it was cool to see a lot of the, you know, the Charlotte city leaders there
Yes.
in support of Carolina Panthers' growth and expansion to, you know, other countries, which obviously brings an awareness of Charlotte on the map,
Yes.
right? Like, hey, you know, we're here to basically also show you what we have in Charlotte. You know, there's a lot of businesses in this world that move and shake in different ways.
And there's a handful of German-based businesses here in Charlotte,
Yeah,
which they identified.
BMW.
Yes.
Yep.
And so, to your point, as you mentioned that, really special moment during the game, which was almost like, whoa, hold on, superstitious, that's too soon.
Oh, yeah.
70+ thousand people started singing Sweet Caroline. And then, oh man, they knew every word, and additionally, they were singing John Denver songs. Not sure where that came from, but
I think that's a European.
when they started singing Sweet Caroline while the Giants were running plays, in like the first or second quarter, it was like, whoa, they know.
They know.
There's some fans in here.
Yeah, they know what to do.
There's some fans in here. So we definitely brought a little bit of Charlotte to Germany.
We might need to do that against the Chiefs. Huh?
Huh?
Third quarter?
Hey,
Bring out the song in third quarter? In the third?
you know,
going into fourth?
You know, that's above my pay grade, man. but if it happens, it happens. Whatever it takes to win, man.
We came out of that
I'm on board with it.
We came out of that victorious.
I'm on board with it.
What were some of the things that you enjoyed eating?
Pretzels. I mean, like I'm a hot.
You were eating all those pretzels. Bro.
I'm a hot pretzel guy. I said this before when we were over there. Now the thing in Germany that threw me off a little bit. Not all the pretzels were hot, but they were fresh.
Yeah.
They were fresh. Like, you know, sometimes you might go to a ball game or you may go to a movie theater and let me get a pretzel and a slushie or a soda, whatever you want.
Yeah.
And then the pretzel's just stale because they've been sitting under that hot lamp for a little while. We all taking the salt.
The hot lamp.
That's just hard.
The hot lamp.
Not in Germany.
Yeah.
Munich has some good pretzels. So ate a lot of that.
How'd you deal with the salt on the pretzels? They're a little salty.
Oh, no, it's straight. I mean, that's what I expect. Like, you need the salt on it. If you don't like it, just, you know.
Not a big not a big salty guy.
Yeah,
I'm seasoned food guy, but not a lot of salt.
I'm a veteran pretzel, you know, connoisseur. So, you know, I embrace it.
The favorite thing that I ate was, I know you were begging to ask me what I enjoyed as far as the food. The biggest thing that I enjoyed was the pork knuckle that you didn't get to try.
I'm sorry I missed out.
Man, that was the best thing that I had.
Well, tell us about it.
That might have been the best thing that I had in like 5 years. Literally.
Oh, man. We got to take that up with Natalie. Come on, man.
Man, look, the pork knuckle is where it's at. Man, that thing was fried. Like the top part was like a pork rind.
Okay.
And then you cut into it, and it's like dark meat of like a chicken, or like it's just very like nicely done, juicy. Like I didn't know if I was eating pork or chicken. Dead serious, bro.
I don't want to guess what I'm eating.
No, it's pork knuckle, and so I didn't have to guess. But as far as how it tasted, it was like, man, this is so good. I've never had anything like it.
Oh man. Well, there was a lot of great cuisine over there.
Yeah.
We had a good, solid breakfast. The waffles.
Oh yeah, the waffles on the first day.
Waffles. You go to Germany, make sure you get some waffles.
We got off the plane and we got off the plane and did that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we had the Biscoff sauce that went with it. Everybody knows the Biscoff cookies that you get while you're on a flight.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was definitely following Jeremy's. I was following Jeremy's method.
We were just,
in the beginning.
just embracing what was going on, man. So we did a little bit of research, trying to make sure we were prepared for the trip. But nonetheless, amazing hospitality in Germany. The game day experience was definitely one to remember. I would encourage fans out there to try to make your way to an international game if you can. You will not regret it, and the energy is just amazing.
Definitely a core memory moment.
Yeah. And it was an amazing moment for the Carolina Panthers organization. I think we represented well. From you guys were phenomenal holding the fan. We didn't even talk about Fan Fest and the Stu and the Crew podcast.
Stu and the Crew podcast was popping.
Legendary lineup though. When you really think to have John Beast and TD, Luke all on stage at the same time.
Imagine that. What if you was a running back?
You got to play against that on
the
week.
Play
you
looking
that.
At like, I'm like, man, look. If I'm the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Saints, or the Falcons, I'm like, look, coach, I ain't a rocket scientist, but I know some plays that ain't gonna work.
Right, that's right. I mean, we had to. Smitty got tired of the back and forth. I think with TD and Beeson, he just walked off the stage and sat in the crowd. But it was amazing, and then to also have Steve Smith, Julius Peppers, and the rest of you all on stage, and to have fans experience that, man. I mean, as Panthers fans, you had to have been in glory, and so.
I mean, I was in glory, to be honest, man. Like, the biggest part of that trip, what that did for me, it gave me an opportunity to be in a safe space amongst my brothers. And literally, I mean, Steve Smith's big bro, John Beast, big bro, TD, big bro, Luke, little bro, but still big bro, because how he carries himself and just his demeanor and everything that he stands for. Just you're around a bunch of individuals that have helped shape you, and that are, still a part of your life for the remainder of your life. Like this, NFL is a brotherhood.
Fellowship was strong.
Fellowship was so strong. I loved, hanging out with Pep, man, and just hearing his story about how he chose his agent. Like, that blew my mind.
Yeah,
how meticulous this man, was with that. And
which we'll get him. We'll have Pep on the show.
Yeah, man, I can't wait.
We're gonna get him in studio for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But it was a tremendous time, but the funnest part and the biggest part of that whole trip for me was being able to be around my brothers.
That's right. That was great. That was great. It really was. We were staying a little bit away from the city center, downtown Munich, not far. Talking about maybe going from South Park to uptown Charlotte.
Yeah.
But even that short distance in the car from event to event with each other was
a lot of core moments.
Yeah, and it was just good, right? And Pep's passive aggressive-ness, it was tight. Anytime you got big humans in a small space, he kind of checked Luke a little bit, and Luke realized quickly, oh, okay, he's not asking if I'm comfortable. He's not comfortable.
Yeah,
Let me move.
He wants me to move.
Yeah. So
you sit up. Imagine in a Sprinter van, there's a seat and there's 3 large humans in one seat, which is a seat bed.
And Luke might have been the smallest of the.
It was me, Luke, and Pep.
Okay.
And so I'm wide.
He's the slimmest.
And he's the slimmest. He just did a half. Whatchamacallit? Not a marathon, but Ironman.
Yeah.
He just did a half Ironman, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So he's in half Ironman shape. So he's skinnier than usual. And I'm about as wide as Pep, just not as tall. And so Luke was sitting in the middle, and Pep was like, "Yo, you good?" And, Pep was leaning back, and then he leaned forward, and then Luke looked to Pep, and he said, "Oh, no, you're good. You sit back." And that's just the type of person that Luke is, man.
Right.
2 Hall of Famers over here talking about where they sitting at next to each other.
That's right. Yeah. Let's hope we get Luke across the line here, man. I sure do hope so. But we did get the win. We snuck out of there with Eddie Pinero comes through.
Yeah.
Amazing moment, and here we are into a bye week, man. And so I'm juiced.
Yeah, I'm juiced.
2 wins under the belt, some well-needed rest. We have a couple guys getting back on the field this week. Adam Thielen.
Yep.
and you should be excited. Jonathan Brooks might get the debut here, man. Talk about it. How do you feel about the young man?
I feel really good about it, and I love the intentionality of not rushing him back. To my understanding, he could have played last week, but they held him out because of the surface and, not really sure what they were going to get out of that. So kudos to them on management for just making sure that they, keep guys intact. You got to sometimes protect the players from themselves, because I'm pretty sure he would have loved to go out there and embrace his teammates and play on an international level. But to be able to have him come into into his first NFL game.
Action. Yeah. At home against defending
the Chiefs.
Super Bowl champs.
People are going to be watching.
Right. This stadium is going to be full.
Yeah. And so it's an opportunity, obviously, for the Panthers, but for him to go out there and just show us what you can do.
Yeah.
Don't feel the pressure of needing to go out there and outperform everybody. Play within yourself and get some runs under your belt. And to my, like, how I feel about the game plan, the Chiefs, they're like top 3 in rushing defense. So, which means they've allowed 850 yards rushing so far this year, whereas the Carolina Panthers have allowed 1,600 yards rushing this year. So there's a comparison there, right, as far as how we've been viewing games and defenses and whatnot. So it's going to be very tough to run the ball against this Kansas City Chiefs defense. That does not mean that you do not run the ball.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, our best attributes as a team is to be able to run the ball and play defense. And we did that against the New York Football Giants. We did that against the New Orleans Saints. And if we continue that recipe, it's playing physical, tough football.
That's right.
Right? And all you got to do is make sure that you're holding guys accountable. And what better way to hold a guy accountable for being physical? Hey, I just want you to be physical and finish a guy. Get him on the ground, right? Aggressive. So that way you can make room for the running backs or make room for, Bryce Young to be back there and pick guys apart like we know he can. And so I think things are really starting to take shape. It's like concrete, right? It's basically you have the formula, you have all the ingredients to make concrete, but it also takes the temperature. You have to, as far as how much, water you have and how much ingredients you have, depending on the temperature, gives you the amount of time that it's actually going to take for you to have concrete, right? And so it's kind of like that with the Carolina Panthers. Right now, we're actually starting to see time, come into fruition, and all the things that we've been expecting. We've had injuries, we've had, guys that have gone down, and being able to get those guys back, getting Wanham back last week was huge.
Baller.
Baller. And seeing Josie Jewell being able to hit, the angles downhill on the run game support and making tackles,
causing fumbles.
We're actually one of the better tackling teams in the league, and so keeping those things up, the identity of your team is there. We just needed time, and now that time, going back to the concrete analogy, we're heating up, and so when it heats up just a little bit, that's when you start taking form.
Yeah. Your hope is catching at the right time.
Yep.
And you're getting healthy at the right time. And we know if you look at the conference,
yeah, we knew
you catch fire now.
We knew going into this season, like somebody can be had.
Yeah.
And right now, the New Orleans Saints wet the bed. The Buccaneers, they a squad, but right now they're injured, right? They have some guys that they're missing, and it shows, in the performances of, the last 3 games or so. And we got the Atlanta Falcons getting blazed by the Denver Broncos, right? So now we look at the Carolina Panthers and say, why not us?
Control your own destiny.
If I'm in that locker room and if there's any message, the message is, why not us? And it absolutely is about us. Right. It's not about anyone else besides these guys in the locker room. And and why you do it. You do it for your family.
Yep.
You do it for whatever it is that you put on the wall, put on the mirror. When you look yourself in the mirror, why do you play this game? You do it for that reason and that reason only. And you just go out there and make things shake. And I feel like we're really close because the Kansas City Chiefs, going back to them, they can be had.
Yeah, and you find out, too, I think, when you're in a position like this and you get a little glimmer of hope, and you start to get a little momentum, and that ball is going uphill right now.
Yeah.
You're almost to the top where you can just get the tipping point, and
Yeah.
you really got some momentum going downhill, right? Sometimes teams that are on the bottom half of the league, we see it every year. It takes a little bit of belief.
Yeah.
And you get to those points in the games like we exhibited where you finish and you close, and now it's not, oh, here we go again. But, hey,
let's tap in.
Here we go again.
Yeah, let's tap in.
And so the tone changes. I think that the energy is tangible. Is it a feat? Of course. Every given Sunday, you're going against. You're going to get the best shot. You got a team that just lost to a Buffalo team.
Yeah.
And the Kansas City Chiefs, as we all watched that great game that took place the other night.
Which they're going to come in here with a whole different set of
hair on fire.
Expectations. Sense of urgency is one of the things that strike me for the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, Patrick Mahomes has 11 interceptions this year, which is screaming, it's screaming opportunity for a defense, right? All we got to do is just make him uncomfortable, and he's going to throw us the rock.
And we've seen them games be close with the Chiefs in recent weeks. And so you keep it close, you give yourself a shot, you execute. Back to Jonathan Taylor, I'm sorry.
Jonathan Brooks.
Back to Jonathan Brooks, I don't think that he's got pressure. I would say if we think of the situation, right?
Yeah, you got Chuba Hubbard.
He's secure with Dan Morgan.
Yeah.
You got Chuba in your back who just signed. There is no pressure for you.
You just go out there and play, baby.
Go out there and play, man.
They're very similar to Jamal Charles.
Just run the ball, baby.
Jamal Charles, his rookie year, had like 70 carries. And then it changed the next year, obviously. And he just progressed through. But Jamal Charles, I think you treat Jonathan Brooks, his rookie year, at this point in the season as a wrinkle. And not a wrinkle in the sense of like, oh, he gets 3 carries a game or 10 plays a game. But kind of you utilize him like you were utilizing Miles Sanders, right? But we know that Jonathan Brooks has this ability to be a home run threat as well. So get that guy in some space, get him comfortable. He's going to make sure that he had, incredible contact balance coming out of college. And that's one of the things I'm excited to see. Having 2 running backs in the backfield that, have the ability to be a home run threat, but is going to make sure that they pick up those positive yards regardless because of the ability for them to shake tacklers off them. And you have that going for you, it kind of changes the game.
Be nice to get a little 1-2 punch again like we used to see.
Yeah,
What you think?
Yeah, that's exactly
what
the
fans would love to see it.
They would love to see that. Me and D'Angelo was a special thing because I remember it would be 3rd and 12. And Coach Davison would call a draw play. D'Angelo back there. Right? What the heck are you calling a draw play on 3rd and 12? And lo and behold,
he got it.
20-yard game. You know what I'm saying? So, to be able to and what I'm saying is football doesn't have to be that hard. It's really simple when you have good players. And right now, I feel like we're being established with some really good talent so far. And Jonathan Brooks is just one of those guys that we can't wait to see come to fruition. Because if that comes to fruition, Dan Morgan's draft class, this whole year of free agency, rookies, all of that. He hit it. He hit a home run this year. So I can only imagine what that's going to lead to going into next offseason as far as what he's going to be able to do then and testing the free agency market even more because you do now have a little bit of establishment with the coaching staff, with some of the players, with some veterans in the locker room, which will then attract other guys to want to come play here.
Yeah. Are running backs making a comeback in the NFL, man?
Boy, duh.
I mean, last night, Joe Mixon
had that 3-piece. Yeah, 1, 2, 3 into the 4.
You know, we seen some amazing plays. Saquon's doing his thing now. You
got Derrick Henry, you got Saquon Barkley, you got Joe Mixon, you got Chuba Hubbard. Chuba is top 3.
He's up
back
there.
In the league.
He's up there, and we got him.
I've been trying to tell people too, bro. Like all year, last year too. I'm like, man, y'all tripping. We got a running back. His name's Chuba Hubbard, and
he deserves everything.
He deserves every last penny. And honestly, man, I think the running backs are making a comeback because you're starting to see a drop off in quarterbacking. Right? We're getting back to defense is a little bit.
They're complex.
They're complex now. They know how to stop stuff. They know how to play. They know spatially where they need to be.
I don't know. I'm saying we're getting a drop off, but it's definitely.
It's a little bit of a drop off in stats. Period. It is.
I have to look at the numbers, but I know that Lamar Jackson.
I know
that Josh Allen. I know that Justin Herbert looked great the other night.
Yeah, Joe Burrow. But Joe Burrow had a complete game. A complete game. Scoring, yards, field management.
Yeah.
One thing they didn't have on their side was a defense. And you know one of the things that I think they could use is a better run game. Because guess what a run game does? It wears out a defense, and it takes time off the clock. So that's the reason why the running back position is so and so important, because it does things like grind out games. It takes time away from the other opponent to be able to score.
There's nothing more demoralizing to an offense. I think, number one, the most demoralizing play in football is a sack. Right?
Yeah.
Right. But to a defense, there's nothing more demoralizing than an explosive run. When you got third and whatever, second and long, and a running back is constantly breaking for 15 plus, 20 plus, 30 plus yard runs.
That's what Chuba was doing last week.
That's tough.
Yeah.
And that wears you down.
Yep.
So we're talking about this topic because if we can do that, we can make some noise this weekend. And, and we hope to see everybody in there. I'm not going to say singing the song early, but
sing it. Sing it in your heart early.
It's going to be a scene at 800 South Mint at the bank, and I hope that we can deliver.
Yes, sir.
We can deliver. There's no question. Well, man, this was fun. Did we cover everything we wanted to today, Stu?
Yeah, man.
I know you want to talk about Oregon.
Yeah, you know Oregon number 1. We got a bye week, so we're just chilling.
But we're on the East Coast, so we won't just get you a little fix and then we'll keep it moving.
Excuse me, sir. That's not the way you talk to number 1 in the nation.
Here we go.
Relax. No, but I feel like college is in a good space. I love the close games that I've been watching lately. I mean, the NFL is really fun to watch. I mean, the Pittsburgh-Baltimore game, that was so fun to watch.
It was great.
The Cincinnati Bengals game was so fun to watch.
The Chargers game.
The Chargers are out there. Boy, Jim Harbaugh, you talk about a team that's bought in.
Culture.
I mean, flip the switch.
Culture.
In 1 year.
That's right.
Not even a whole year.
Yeah.
Just a couple months.
Yeah.
And he got them boys believing in themselves because he engages with the players. He's very hyper-focused, when it comes to football. But being able to connect with players allows you to feel free to move how you need to move, because as long as you keep the main thing,
that's right,
you can be yourself, and you can have a team that is very unique and can be able to go out on the field, take the field, and have something that's connected deeper than just running plays. So yeah, shout out to him. But yeah, Dan Lanning, man, carries the same type of attributes. Dan Lanning, University of Oregon, he's gotten this recruiting thing under lock. And after this year, first year in the Big Ten, if we continue the way we are continuing, being the Grim Reaper for all these teams we playing, putting them to bed,
You done yet?
Your head on your pillow.
And it's been great. Thanks, everybody, for another episode of
Quack, quack. Go Ducks.
No, man.
Hey, it's going to be great for them. It's going to be great for them.
Did your daughters like the German chocolate you got them?
They did. They enjoyed it. They
enjoyed
enjoyed it
all at once.
No. We still got them in the bag.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
That was a lot of chocolate.
It's a lot.
That's a lot.
Should last us until January.
Be bouncing off the walls, man.
Right. I got a question.
Yeah.
If there's anybody retired or current that would be able to beat Jake Paul in a boxing match right now, no training, who will it be? Man. I already know who it'll be.
Julius Peppers.
Yep. Julius Peppers.
I mean, it's just
Frazier.
Yeah, just calling. It's like letting him out of a cage. Like just. Yeah, I mean, look, there's probably a couple other guys that I'd even put in the ring.
I'll take Mike Tolbert.
Like
Mike Tolbert was a boxer.
He does. He owns a couple of boxes. No, I would not
I'm actually calling out Mike Tolbert right now. Start training. Mike Tolbert and Jake Paul, Logan Paul, whoever you is, Mike Tolbert will outbox you. I'm calling it right now. Mike Tolbert, I'm your agent. I'm your trainer.
He's trying to get a piece of the purse.
Yeah, I need that purse, dog.
No, man.
60 million viewers, dog? That's a lot.
Yeah, I'll save. Look, this is all I'll say on this, man, because I'm just not one of those guys that's going to stay up till 10:30, 11:30, 12 o'clock to watch a 4-second fight or
but you that guy that'll leave your phone underneath the chair to get smashed and cracked on a trip in Germany.
We're going to talk about that, too, before we get off this. But the fight, in my opinion, was not authentic.
Oh, yeah, it was definitely was shaped.
We understand the shape of the business. Yeah. And as you just mentioned, views and all those things, brilliant business move. Congrats, hats off. There's probably a few guys that I know, because there's some warriors that could probably go toe-to-toe, right? And it's a handful of y'all. But all that said, man, I would have just liked to see an authentic.
But did you know? You really thought that was going to be authentic?
No, I didn't want. That's why I watched the back of my eyelids and not that fight. But I saw the highlights and read some things and I drew my own conclusions. And anybody else that watched it, I'm sure you did the same thing. I
think it's a bigger statement to say, I think people care more about being entertained.
Everybody, it's all about entertainment. The NFL is about entertainment.
Are you not entertained?
Right. So, there were certain things I couldn't be entertained because, speaking of the phone, Jonathan Stewart tried to ruin my trip to Germany and getting out of a vehicle.
He dropped his phone through the crevices of a chair that he was sitting in a Sprinter.
I didn't drop it. It slipped.
It slipped, and he didn't have control of the things that he's supposed to be taking care of. Not being a good steward of his phone, he left it in a crack and not patted himself down before he got out of the car. I'm in the back seat, giving him the front seat because he's taller, giving him leg room and all those types of things.
Which is appreciated.
And the driver lifts up the seat for me to get out. And as he lifted it up, we heard what sounded like a phone being crushed by a seat. I've never heard it before, but I knew exactly what that sound was. You knew exactly what
TD's face turned. TD turned what? Like his jaw dropped. It was like, JK.
Yeah.
I think that's your phone.
That's your phone, bro.
Thanks for that. There's two sides to every story. So,
that's the only side.
Phone wasn't dropped. It slipped. Trying to let my man out the back seat. Unfortunately, phone got crushed in the gears of this seat. So, why does that matter to the fine folks at home? This is a lesson of being resourceful.
Mm-hmm. Jason Bourne came intact.
But
you also had some guys.
Had some help.
Like, yo, man, we got you.
As the director of Legends Affairs, I'm responsible for getting all 6 guys to where they need to be, when they need to be there, how they need to get there. And so now I'm in a different country, no phone, limited communication, not only to my legends, but also to staff that is awaiting our arrival, communicating details, etc. So, now we got to rely on Wi-Fi. Hey, I'm with Stu. Text him. I'm with TD. Text him. Yeah. And we got it done. And we delivered, and we got everybody where they needed to get to on time.
Now you need to just give me all them photos you took that were so nice of the trip.
And
so
this
that
man
way I
thought
can
I was
start
his photographer throughout the week. So as soon as you Venmo me, I'll send you the photos.
Ain't Venmoing you nothing.
That said, it was a great trip. We're grateful that we got a W. Keeping the main thing.
Yeah, man.
The NFL put on, the Carolina Panthers put on. We're coming back home against the defending Super Bowl champions in our house. Everyone should be excited. I know that we have, this is always a high-demand game. There's a handful of legends that have reached out, as always. We're going to have guys in the house, man. So I'm always excited to have that. We get to see you, your families. The work is always done through the week, but really on game days, we get to spend time, and we get to watch ball, and we get to do it together. So we love that.
Yeah.
So hoping for a great Sunday, man. Hoping for some great weather. Let's get a dub.
Yeah. Kansas City Chiefs, be prepared for this L that's about to be served.
Oh, here we go. Now he got the bulletin material, man.
Yeah, just be prepared, dog.
He's in rare form today. He had leg day.
Yeah, man. Leg day get you right, dog. Have you walking upright.
Another episode of Stu and the Crew. We appreciate you turning in.
We out. Keep pounding.